Hi, welcome to the show, Travel Bits. I am your host, Bonnie Quartermanche of Bonnie's Travel Site, a small home-based travel agency right here in Seekonk. This is a show where I offer up bits of my experiences and my knowledge and my point of view on different travel topics. Today I'm going to talk about the Dominican Republic. It's one of my favorite destinations, and I've been there quite a few times, probably about a dozen times. The Dominican Republic is a wonderful, wonderful destination if you like beaches and tropical destinations. Next. The Dominican shares the island with Haiti. You can see that right there in the middle of your screen. It's probably, I believe it's the second largest island in the Caribbean, next to Cuba. It shares the island with Haiti. And it's easy access from the East Coast and the West Coast. It's a great destination. Next. The areas, the popular areas in the Dominican, up at the top are Puerto Plata, coming down to Samana, or Samana, I believe is how they pronounce it, Punta Cana on your right-hand corner, and then you follow around the island to La Romana, Juan Dulio, Boca Chica, and Santo Domingo. I've actually been to all places except Samana. So I've pretty much been all over the beachy areas of the island. Next. The biggest draw, I think, to the Dominican is the beaches. They are the most beautiful in the world. I haven't been around the world, but in my opinion, in the Caribbean, they are pretty spectacular. Dominican people are friendly. They are huge baseball fans, and we have quite a few famous Red Sox players who are Dominicans. We have Pedro Martinez, we have David Ortiz, we have Manny Ramirez, and also Hanley Ramirez. They're all from the Dominican. So when we go down, we wear our Boston Red Sox hats and t-shirts, and we always get a smile from everybody at the resorts that we go to. Next. The Dominican Republic is it's a very desirable destination to go to, especially here on the East Coast, because it is very accessible from Boston, Providence, Hartford, on down through the coast. There's lots of flights throughout the days, many airlines. You get a really a good value for your dollar in the Dominican. It's a very easily priced destination. There's so many all-inclusive resorts that you can go to. So there is just numerous reasons to go to the Dominican. Next. This picture is a copy of the Dominican money. It's mainly pesos, but the one thing about when you travel to the Dominican, even though they have their own currency, you do not need to exchange any money. What we normally do is we will bring American dollars and fives for tipping, and when we're doing purchases, we tend to use our credit card, because when you make your purchases with credit cards, you get the best exchange rate at the time. Your credit card gets the best exchange rate. When you do use American dollars, sometimes you'll get Dominican money in exchange, and then you just can leave that as tips. Next. So when you arrive in the Dominican, you are arriving in a tropical destination, so as soon as you get off the plane, you will be hit with heat and humidity, hopefully no rain. And the planes all land like this out on the tarmac. So you exit off the plane right outside, and there's your first taste of the Dominican. Next. In the Punta Cana airport, you exit the plane, you get onto a bus, and then they take you into the terminal. The Punta Cana airport has two different terminals. There is a newer terminal, Terminal B, that services a few airlines, and they have the modern jetways, what we're used to here in the United States. But most airlines, you exit off the plane via those rolling stairways, and then you load onto a bus, and then you're taken to the terminal. Depending on the day of the week that you arrive to, you can see anywhere from 3 to maybe 50 planes lined up on that tarmac. So I always recommend to my clients that they go midweek to midweek, only because going through the terminal, it's a large terminal, but the more planes, the more people, so there's your longer lines going through customs immigration. Next slide. Your first stop once you get into the terminal is you have to purchase your tourist card. It's kind of like an arrival tax. What you do is you go up to the window, and it's $10 per person. There is no age exceptions. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, I think very young children do not have to pay, but most people pay. It's $10 cash per person. Your travel agent can get you these cards before you arrive to your destination. You can do it yourself online, or you can just purchase them right at the airport terminal. It's pretty comical because you stand in line, you pay your money, you get your little tourist card, and you walk maybe 20 paces, and you're turning that card right over to the attendant that's at the line. So it's just like you don't really even get to hold anything for all that long. You don't get to keep anything for your money, but that's how it is in the Dominican. There is a departure tax, but that is figured into your package, whether it's just your airfare or your hotel package or whatever, that is figured in. It's just you have to buy the tourist card, or you have to present the tourist card before you go into immigration. Next slide. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of all-inclusive resorts in the Dominican that range all budgets. You can go pretty economical and still have a nice family-friendly resort, and they have some very luxurious, ultra-modern, everything resorts. The resorts that I have been to, most of them are not right on the beach. They're in front of the beach. Like this one's shown, you have your, as you're approaching from the road, you have your buildings, and then you have your pool area, and then you have your beach. Next slide. So this is what's most times considered an oceanfront room if you were to upgrade to an oceanfront or a superior ocean view room. This is something that you would be getting. The resorts in the Dominican, it's the first place that I've ever been to that do this. Some resorts offer up weekend passes to the locals, the local Dominicans. And what they do is for a reduced rate, the locals can spend the weekend at the resort Friday. Usually it's Friday, Saturday, and they go home Sunday. So on the weekends, on some resorts, they do get quite crowded, depending on the time of year as well, too. But yeah, and then come Monday things quiet right back down again because they're all going back to work or whatever. But I think it's a nice little extra for the local Dominicans. Next. This is a prime example of the beach at a lot of the resorts. With the Dominican resorts, people from all over the world visit the Dominican. It is heavily populated with travelers from Europe. You have Germans and Italians and French. We've met people from Ireland, from England, all over Spain. And with it being heavily populated with European travelers, you do run across topless sunbathing with the women. So if that's not your cup of tea, that's something you might want to consider before going. Also, when you're looking for an all-inclusive resort in the Dominican, a lot of things you need to consider is the shade on the beach. This particular resort did not have a lot of palm trees on the beach, or palapas, which are these straw-covered like umbrellas and stuff. So just something to keep in the back of your mind when going to the Dominican, because it is bright, it is sunny, it is warm, and a lot of sun. Next. There are any resort that I have been to, there's always, I'm always coming across somebody getting married. It is a popular destination for weddings. They're setting up right now for a wedding. These take place usually right on the beach. Sometimes they have secluded areas for the weddings. Sometimes not so much. On this particular resort, behind the structure there is the beach, and you do have people sunbathing and swimming in the water and stuff. So this is not as closed off and as private. And along the sides, you have people who are standing there watching in their bathing suits, and you have this, the bride in her beautiful white dress, and the men in their tuxedo and stuff. So if you're looking for a destination, a resort for a destination wedding in the Dominican, it's a beautiful place to go for that. Just be careful on the resort that you choose for that. Next. The beaches are, I'll go back to the beaches. The beaches are beautiful. All different, as you're going around the island, there are different sand. The sand is different, the waves are different. We've been to some resorts where my husband and I were both divers, and there are some excellent dive spots in the Dominican, but depending on the currents and the waves will depend on when you go out. It's been my experience that you need to do your dives first thing in the morning, because as the day goes on, the current gets too strong and they can't safely take the little dive boats out past the breakers to get you to the dive spots. Next. This picture is taken later in the afternoon. You can see that the waves have picked up quite a bit. These waves, they're good for stealing sunglasses, and I've lost sunglasses. My husband's lost sunglasses, and hats. So the waves can be strong. They're not overpowering. You can still go in the water, but as the day goes on, in some areas around the island, the waves do pick up in the afternoon. Next. And on the other, when we were down in the Juan Dulio, Boca Chica area, the water on the underside, which is the Caribbean Ocean, was very, very calm, beautiful. I took this picture. I was standing in the water up to probably almost my waist, and this is how clear the water is. But in this area, there was lots of sea urchins. So in some areas, you do need water shoes. You need to be careful where you're stepping. Also, when we were here in this area, although there were sea urchins, we found so many different types of seashells, and just walking along the beach was really nice, where in the previous slides, you see just pure, like, white sandy beaches. You don't see seashells, you don't see sea glass, which is something we collect around here in New England beaches. It's just clear, clear water, just water and sand and fish. Next picture. Up at the, in Puerto Plata, which is in the top of the island, it's actually borders the Atlantic Ocean. They called that the Gold Coast because the sand is more, it's golden, where around the island it turns more white when you go around the bend where the Atlantic meets the Caribbean, and then on the bottom side of the Caribbean Ocean, of course, the sand gets so much more whiter and brighter. But even the Gold Coast, that they call it, it's still, the water's clear, the sand is beautiful and soft. Next slide. This is in Punta Cana. This is, as you can see, it's not the best rendition, but the sand is a little bit brighter. It's very, very soft. And there's no seashells. There's usually no seaweed. There are areas that we have come across recently where they're dealing with the seaweed issue. It's the sargassum seaweed. I guess it's like a seasonal thing. But the resorts are good, and they will clean it up every morning. Next slide. It's just, when I'm there, we spend so much time on the beach. The water is beautiful. You can see in the background where the waves are breaking out there. That lends me to believe that this picture was taken more in the afternoon, where the surf is a little bit stronger, and so the waves start breaking out further. I think there might be a reef out there which is causing those waves to break. But like I said, as the day goes on, in some areas, especially the Bavaro Beach area, which is the most popular beach in Punta Cana, the surf can be pretty strong. Next. This is a painting that I had bought in the Dominican. Usually, you know, when you go to Mexico, their thing is the sterling silver jewelry. In the Dominican, there's their paintings. This one, I just loved the palm tree in this, and it just reminded me so much of the Dominican. So it's one of my souvenirs. Next. And this is one of the markets they had set up one night in the resort, where you can see there's just all different kinds of paintings. For whatever reason, that is the Dominican thing. When they set up these markets during the week at the resorts, there's these paintings. There's also cigars. Dominican cigars are some of the best, and lots of jewelry. While you're in the Dominican, you can go on excursions. We've seen them actually rolling cigars. My husband has also sampled some of them as well. But there are anything that you can do on the resort. Of course, there's always the all the water sports. But then there's also the horseback riding and the zip lining and the parasailing and ATV rides and stuff. So there's plenty to do on the island. Next slide. This is a little bracelet that I had gotten one year. It's made of Larimar. Larimar to me looks a lot like turquoise, but it is mined in the Dominican. The Dominican is one of the, if not the only place where you can get this stone. It comes in all different colors. It's mainly like the blue, but I've seen it in shades of green, and there is some that's like pink, but it's a stone that they mine, and they make all kinds of beautiful, beautiful jewelry with it. So it's another thing that you see in the souvenir stores and in the markets and stuff is the paintings, and then the Larimar, whether it's earrings, bracelets, necklaces, earrings, you know, all that. It's beautiful. Next.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh. Should I continue? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll cut this all out.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. So that's pretty much it as far as the Dominican. I hope I made it come across that it's a great destination to visit to. Like I said, we've been there many, many times. We've never been disappointed. We've been to many, many different resorts. We've been all over the island. There's many different airports that you can arrive in to keep the transfers to the resorts shorter. They've made a lot of improvements over the years. They do have actual highways now, where before they were one-lane roads and kind of sketchy getting from the airport to the resorts, but now it's pretty modern. It is a wonderful destination, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite places in the world is the Dominican Republic. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have comments or any ideas on things that you would like me to cover, please feel free to contact me. Again, I am Bonnie from Bonnie's Travel. You can find me on Facebook under Bonnie's Travel, or you can contact me through my website, which is www.bonniestravelsite.com. See you next time. Thank you.